So today I'm gonna discuss on Python syntaxes, indentation, and comments. So Python syntaxes, these are basically the grammar of Python language. In other words, these are the rules and regulations that we need to create sentences in Python programming. For example, example 1 and 2 show a couple of cases of conditional statement. So say a case when we want to print 5 is greater than 2, so a conditional statement. So in example 1, if the expression 5 is greater than is true, then it will enter into this statement and it will activate this function print, and that's how the string 5 is greater than 2 is going to be printed. However, as per example 2, if this expression is not true, so 5 is actually not less than 2, so it's a false statement, so it's not going to enter into this statement and activate the print function. So the string 5 is greater than 2 is not going to be printed. So printing this particular expression through a logical statement has a certain grammar or syntax that we'll have to follow. Otherwise, we cannot print out this. This can be shown or in a better way or in a more clearer way in Spider. So let's just clear it up a little bit through. So I write the same thing if 5 is greater than 2 colon print 5 is greater than 2. So when I run it, it's gonna run 5 is greater than 2. So basically, it's a correct expression. So it's evaluating it as a true statement, and that's how we can get into the second line and print 5 is greater than 2. But what if I write a false statement that is 5 is less than 2? Here, in the result, we see that nothing is printed. The second line is not printed because this expression is considered as false, and that's why it's not activating the second line. So this thing is done in a grammatical way or in a structural way. That is a standard procedure in Python. So if it's not followed, we cannot do this. For example, the first thing, if I write again, if I run again, as it was shown as it was showing the string before 5 is greater than 2, it's not gonna show when I don't follow the correct structure. For example, if I just remove this colon and run again, it's gonna show an error, and it's called a syntax error because I'm not following the grammar properly. So it means that for Python, for running a code in Python, we'll have to follow the exact structure uh, for all the keywords or functions as described by Python. So now Python indentation, this is another type of syntax thing. So Python uses indentation to indicate a block of code. So indentation, what is actually this? This is basically spaces between before a line. So the number of spaces can vary from 1 to 4 or even more, but standard is to keep it from 1 to 4. However, the same number of spaces needs to be maintained in a block of code. For example, examples 3, it's exactly like the previous example in the previous slide, but here I have added another line to print 5 is greater than 2. This is basically the same line, but here it's not aligned with the top line. So if we analyze this example, we will understand indentation a little bit. So here, under this conditional statement, if 5 is greater than 2 and then semicolon, when I go to the second line, there is a space. This space is called the indentation. So I have used a single space here. I could use double, triple, or maybe 4 spaces. But in the third line, the number of spaces before this line is way more than the second line. So the indentation in the third line is more. That's why it's gonna show an error and it's not correct, because as I was saying that the same number of spaces needs to be maintained in in the same block of code. So example 4 shows the correct one, where line 2 and 3 both of them have the same number of indentation. So that in code, let's write this down. Let's clear it up a little bit. So now I have certain number of indentation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 spaces, and then when I run it, okay, it's showing error because I haven't followed the syntax. So again, if I run it, yeah, it's 5 is greater than 2. 5 is greater than 2 is printed twice as I wanted. But here one important condition is this indentation for this both of this line is same. So what if I change the indentation for one of the line and keep the other lines indentation same? It's gonna show indentation error like here. So again, if I change the indentation for the second line and run again, it's gonna run properly because the indentation is same. The third thing I want to discuss today is Python comments. In Python, we often need to make comments to communicate to other uh, people who is going to be going through the codes, or we also use the comments for our own references. So these comments are basically some lines that do not interfere with the code. A single comment in Python can be written by putting a hash in front of the line. For example, this one. So I have written a line in the same example that I have been using in this tutorial. So this is not interfering with the main code, but it has been added as a comment, and that's why the hash sign is before this comment, this line. And when we want to add multiple line comments, we can also do that by using triple quotes. So we write down our lines inside triple quotes, like this example. For example, this whole thing is a comment here. Logical expression can be either true or true. So we can use double quotation or single quotation, but 3 times to make the comments for multiple lines. And show that in the coding. So the same thing, let's just write this down. First, I show single comment. So I run this, and yeah, it's showing exactly the same thing that it had been printing before. So this comment didn't make any changes in the output. It's just added as a reference. And then what about if I write something and I don't add a hash sign? Then it's gonna show an error. This is called name error. It's not being able to detect this, and as I haven't used the hash sign before this, it's not detecting it as a comment either. But the moment I press a hash before that, it becomes a comment, and if I run again, it's running properly again. But when we want to create multiple lines, we use triple quotations. It can be either true or, and then we run. Yeah, and here we have the same output, but this whole thing has been added as a multiple line comment. So the same thing can be changed with a single quotation instead of double, and it will show the same result.